Kirt Gonzales Show, your weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and victory. This is your opportunity for encouragement, your chance to grow and understand that your life has purpose. Victory and breakthrough are just around the corner. Let's get ready to shed untruths, reach new heights, and become the person you're meant to be. It's time for the Kirt Gonzales Show.
Welcome to the very first episode of the Kirt Gonzales Show. I am so excited about this show today because on my very first show, I have someone who is extremely near and dear to my heart. She's an awesome woman. She is Pastor Vicky Hines, and she has an incredible story. And I know you guys are going to be so interested to hear about her story and how she rose to actually being the pastor of the church where she's pastoring right now. So please don't go anywhere, but stay tuned because we're going to be right back after this quick word from our sponsors.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Welcome back, guys. Like I said before, I am here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina with the awesome Pastor Vicky Hines. And I love her dearly. She's very, very dear to my heart, like I said, and her story is incredible. And so we're going to just jump right in. And Pastor Vicky Hines, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzales. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be invited. I'm also honored to be one of the first ones in your first show.
Yeah, the very first one. I specifically wanted you as the very first guest.
Well, I'm trusting it's going to be an awesome show, and I hope you won't be disappointed.
Oh, I doubt I will be. So, you're pastoring the church now, and that's a whole history as to how you actually got to be the pastor of the church. And that is something we're going to get into in a minute. But your journey, even from your childhood, is awesome. And you went through some stuff that a lot of people sweep under the rug. But I would love for you to tell us some of these things that you went through even as a child.
Well, as a child, started at around age 11, I was molested by my uncle, who was my dad's brother. He would come and babysit for us during the summer times when my mom and dad worked. And at that time, I was a little runt, so I was the skinniest and smallest of the kids. And he would send everybody else outside to play. And for whatever reason, I was in trouble, so I would have to stay in. And during that time, he would either take me in the bathroom and I would have to either masturbate him, or if I wouldn't want to do it and I would say, no, I'm not going to, my punishment would be, back in those days we had encyclopedias.
Yes.
Nobody really knows about those now. But with a 12-year-old, and as skinny as I was, he would make me hold the encyclopedias, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 encyclopedias at a time, because that was my way of punishment whenever I would say that that's not what I would want to do, or I would threaten to tell him. So as a young child, when something like that happens, you automatically think that it's something that you've done. Because, I mean, why would someone want to do that to a little girl? Yes. So you start wondering, what did I do to make him want to choose me? Yes. What did I say, or how did I act, or what did I do to make him think that I would want to be sexually abused by him? And so, because when it finally came out,
and when you said find, did you tell somebody, or did somebody accidentally find out?
Well, what happened, I got pregnant.
By him?
No.
Okay.
At the age of 17,
okay.
I got pregnant. And when my mom and dad found out that I was pregnant, And they asked who it was. Of course, I wouldn't say, and then they would say, "Well, you must have been doing this all along." And so I told them, "No, this started with my uncle." And of course, old school, they automatically did not believe me.
Yes.
And I had to be, because I'm trying to protect the father of the kids. But as I think about this, and as I've gone over this in my head, and as I've had counseling with you, I came to realize that the reason I was at the position where I was to get pregnant was because of things that had happened with him.
Yes.
And so this happening to me, it affected the choices that I made in relationships. It still has affected, up until maybe 5, 6 years ago, the choices that I made in picking who I got into relationships and why I got into these relationships. I felt like that the only thing that I had to offer was sex.
That's the body. Yeah.
Was the body. Because I learned years ago that when the first thing that gets to you physically, you take on to be true.
Yes.
And so though that type of sex was not how God designed sex to be between a man and a woman, because it got to my physical body first.
Yes.
My body did not know this.
Yes.
And so then it reacted to what a body reacts to.
Yes.
And so being that I thought this is the only thing that will attract a man, this is the only thing that I can get a boyfriend, I've got to do this, I've got to do that to get a boyfriend.
Yes.
This is what I did. And so again, coming out and telling my mom and dad, or my mom, that it was my uncle, they didn't believe that I had been molested because I hadn't said anything. Well, why didn't you say anything? Well, why didn't you tell
and
us?
that's a question that a whole lot of people would want to find out at 11 or 12. And how long did this go on for?
About 12, at least 2, 3 years.
2 to 3 years. Okay.
Yes.
And so that'll be the question in on a lot of people's minds. Why didn't you tell anyone?
Because as an 11 and a 12-year-old, I actually believed that he would do something to me if I told him.
Okay.
I didn't think that telling my mom and dad would stop this.
Right.
I didn't think that they would be able to come in because he had that mental hold and that fear over me that if you tell him, I'm going to do this to you. And certain things he did do to me because I would threaten to tell.
Okay.
And so I just never did.
Okay. Okay. And that's completely understandable. And that's the issue that a lot of kids have from molesters. They try to turn around and make the child feel as if it's their fault, and make the child feel guilty. Unfortunately, that's what so many kids go through. And the sad thing, Pastor Vicky, is that it happens in the church. And we sweep it under the rug. Yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to get into your marriage to the pastor and the things that you went through being married to this pastor, because you were at one time the first lady and had to take on the responsibility of running the church after the marriage ended. We're going to get right into that. Don't go anywhere. You do not want to miss this. So we'll be back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Attention ministry leaders. Have you ever considered growing your ministry with television? Well, the Daily Gospel Network could be what you've been looking for. As one of the nation's largest Christian broadcasting companies, the Daily Gospel Network broadcasts all over the world on popular streaming platforms like Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. If you're looking to grow and reach more people, the Daily Gospel Network could be your solution.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. I am here with Pastor Vicky Hines, and we are discussing her incredible story. And we spoke earlier about the childhood molestation that she went through, but now we're going to talk about the marriage, which is became how I actually got to know you because of the issues that started in your marriage.
Yes.
So, walk us through this marriage from the beginning. How did you even meet the pastor in the first place?
I actually met him in church.
In church, okay.
I met him in church one Sunday. He had come to the church that I was a member of to run revival, and I met him there. At the time, he was married, but separate.
Okay.
Okay. So again, being where my self-esteem was, being by this time I've got 4 children.
Okay.
Never been married. I've got 4 children, and I'm doing well. I'm handling my business. I'm working. I'm taking care of my children, and here comes along this pastor, and because in my mind I'm doing well. My doing well and somebody else's definition of doing well is not the same. My doing well is I was physically handling, taking care of my children, working, paying my bills, buying a house, owning a home. But mentally, emotionally, I'm not doing well.
Right.
Because I'm still making these choices that I make in these relationships based off of a physical
Yes.
and not who I am.
And all of these bad choices were while you were in the church.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
I've been in the church a long time.
Yes.
And again, when I talk to young ladies, I tell them, I'm telling you from experience.
Yes.
I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you that I'm saved, sanctified, love the Lord, have a relationship with Jesus Christ, instead of having sex and having babies. So it happens. It happens. But it's not because of my relationship with Christ that I'm doing this. It's because of me not knowing and understanding how powerful and who I am and my worth. And so I'm still out there doing these things and not valuing me.
Yes.
When you value you, then you learn to make valuable choices. And those choices go against your flesh.
Yes.
Yes. So, while I'm out there,
So you met the pastor.
I met the pastor.
Came to the church.
He came to the church.
Uh-huh.
And in the office, in my pastor's office, I met, that's because I was the head of the, what's the people who take care of the pastors and all of that?
Yes.
I was head of that.
Okay.
Missionary. No, not missionary. Well, I can't think of the name of it now. But anyway, I'm the one that bring the water.
Yes.
I'm the one that makes sure they're, so I go back there in the office and we hug. And so my pastor gives this pastor my phone number.
Oh, really? Why?
They were friends.
Okay.
And he had asked about me.
Okay.
So he gives him, not with my knowledge, my knowledge. But then we start talking and
so
we
the
start.
pastor was playing matchmaking.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So we start talking and we start seeing one another. And he gets divorced and I married him.
Okay.
Now, during this time, in my mind, I've met my Prince Charles.
Okay.
I've met the man of my dreams. He's going to help me because, see, in my mind, in his mind, let me change that. In his mind, he feels like he's coming to rescue me out of something.
Okay.
Mind you now, I've got my own house. I've got my own car. I'm working. But he feels like he's come to rescue me out of something.
Okay.
So, okay, I'm thinking everything's going well. I met my Prince Charles. The day we got married on a Tuesday night, okay? That Wednesday morning, everybody gets up and goes to work. That Monday, he calls me to the living room and I sit down on the sofa. He tells me, I just need you to get some things straight right now. What is it?
Wait, how long after the marriage was this?
This was 3 days. We got married that Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
This is that Monday.
So 3 days. So
3 days.
Yeah, okay, so just a few days after, yeah, it's like 6 days or so after the marriage, he calls you and tells you.
He tells me, this is my house and your home. You are to do what I say do. You represent me now. Certain ways you're not going to go out dressed. Certain people you're not going to talk to. And you do what I say do. Not as I do, but what I say do. So, and I'm looking at him and I'm thinking to myself, what have I gotten myself into?
Wow.
Okay, so then it comes to a point where he's constantly berating me.
In what way?
You're not worthy, you don't clean house well, you're not a good wife because of this, you're not a good wife because of that. And I remember one night particularly, we had gotten into an argument, and it's 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I leave the house walking. And it wasn't nothing but the grace of God, because that I didn't get kidnapped, whatever, because some people passed by me in a truck. And they stopped and they backed the truck up. Woo, there's a nigger in the road. There's a nigger. Wow. And it was men. And I just kept walking. And I ended up at his mom's house. And his mom brought me back to the house. Yeah. So it's like, and then I would find myself, you know, not belittling, but lowering myself so that he would feel a certain type of way.
Yes.
Something simple as playing Scrabble. And I would get to a place where I would be winning and he would get hard having a fit. So I find myself allowing him to win. Okay. But then letting him win, then he started talking junk to me. So after a while I had to learn his ways. And now, mind you now, I'm the first lady of the church. Yes. We're on the way to church on Sunday morning, arguing. We're on the way to church on Sunday morning, and he's smoking cigarettes, blowing cigarette smoke out the window, thinking he's not going to smell like cigarette smoke when he get to church. So we're on the way to church, arguing, but once we get here, we're the perfect couple.
You're the perfect couple. Once you get to church, yes.
You know, and everything, and he stands up in the pulpit talking about my wife this and my wife that, and I don't allow my wife to work. My wife don't have to work. But mind you now, as time goes on, I learned that this is just a trap. Yes. This is just a power move.
Yes.
This is just a control move.
Yes.
Because I was on a $100 a week budget.
So he would give you $100 every week. Wow. And was that just for you to hold to do whatever you want to do?
No, this was to buy groceries with, put gas in my car.
Wow.
$100 a week.
$100 a week for you to buy groceries.
Yes.
For the house.
Yes.
To put gas in your car.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking to myself, wow, girl, you was really going back then. Wow, girl, you were really. And another thing is the emotional, like you said, well, why didn't you tell on my uncle? It's the emotional hold of fear.
Yes.
It's the way that he would intimidate me. Yes. There were times when I would fix lunch for him. And if I was 5 minutes late with that lunch, I was afraid because he would fuss at me and argue and yell at me. And there have been times when I would try and make sure I got that lunch to work with him because I didn't want to be late for it.
Wow, so you used to have to take his lunch to his job.
Yes.
And if you're 5 minutes late, it was trouble to pay.
Trouble.
You see, here's the thing. What a lot of people don't understand is that domestic abuse is mental, it's emotional, it's verbal. Everybody just seems to understand the physical,
right.
The physical abuse side. But the mental, emotional, the verbal, it is so real, it is so common in the churches, and people do not acknowledge it. So here you are married to a pastor that constantly belittles you. You are in fear of. You gotta find a way somehow to make that $100, buy groceries, put gas in your car, and I could just imagine if you don't let it stretch
Yes.
to buy the food he wants. It was also hell to pay, right?
Hell to pay, yes sir, yes sir.
That's unbelievable.
And then it was the way, I remember one time in particular, that's when you could rent a movie off of TV for $4.99. He usually paid his bills. He went in there and he wrote out bills and stuff on Monday morning. And somebody is saying right now, well, you know what? At least he was paying your bills. At least you didn't have to work. At least you, but this man was in there paying bills. I had rented a movie for $4.99. He talked pure cash trash to me. And right after he got through talking trash to me, one of the members, female members of the church, knocked on the door and he wrote her a check for $249 for some insurance. But he just got through tearing me down
For
$4.99. And so these are the things that he would do. And it was like, girl, what is going on?
Yes.
And it was like I had allowed myself to get in a deep hole to where I couldn't find my way out.
Yes.
I couldn't find my way out, and eventually everything came full circle. And he used to tell me all the time. My old preacher friends told me, you never eat and drink out of the same bowl. And what that meant was you never sleep with your members. You never mess with your members in the church. You never do this, you never do that, you never do this. And eventually it came out that he was seeing one of the members of the church.
But here's the thing though. And we're gonna get to that. Okay, we are definitely gonna get to that. With him seeing one of the other members of the church. Ooh, Lord have mercy. This is good. We're gonna take a quick break and we are gonna be right back. Okay, with that. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more to come.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Welcome back. We are here with the awesome Pastor Vicky Hines, and she's sharing her incredible story and the abuse that she went through in her marriage to her husband, who was the pastor of the church. She was just sharing with us the verbal, the mental, the emotional abuse that she went through and suffered at the hands of her husband, the pastor. But Pastor Vicky, here's my question. So you went through emotional, verbal, mental. Were there at any time physical abuse?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right.
No. I remember telling him, I says, you can, how did I say it to him? I would rather you, this is how you know I was really deep in it. I said, I would rather you hit me than for you to emotionally abuse me, than for you to not love me, than for you to say things to me to make me feel even worse than how I already feel about myself, because I was already feeling a certain way.
Yes.
And so for me to be in love with you and for you to mentally or emotionally abuse me, to me it was worse than if you hit me. Because see, I can take a lick. You can always forget pain, but you don't forget that emotional in those words and the memory of what you said.
Yes.
And he looked at me and he told me, he said, I'd rather abuse you how I'm abusing you now.
So you knew he was doing
He knew he was doing it, than to put my hands on you. Because see, you could probably beat me. You could. And see, the thing about it is, though I'm sure I was taller and stronger, but because I was so emotionally weak,
Yes.
I really thought that he had that power. And he did. He had that power over me.
Yes.
For me to sit and listen to me say this now, I would rather you hit me than say something bad or ugly to me. And that meant that I was really in need of him to accept me and to love me. I needed him to love me more than I loved him. He might love me.
Yes, yes.
And that's a bad place to be in, Dr. Gonzales. Even as a first lady who loves the Lord, who trusts God.
All this time, were there anybody in the church who knew the abuse that you were going through?
No.
No.
No. I would not share it. I would not tell it. I tried my best to keep it from the kids at home. I didn't know. Sometimes it would over. I remember one time, he stood up in the church and told this story, how he lined all of us up against the wall and beat us with a belt. He beat two of my sons and me.
So he did hit you with the belt. And what was his reasoning for doing that?
I'm the man of this house. Y'all do as I do. If I tell y'all to get up against this wall, y'all get up against it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So no one in the church did you share it with any family members or friends or anybody at all? You just kept it all to yourself?
I kept it all to myself. And the first person I really ever shared this with was you.
Okay.
Because I changed, and then I felt like you're the first lady.
Yes.
There's nobody you can be completely naked with.
Yes.
And then still stand here and do what you have to do.
Yes.
Nor would anybody truly understand. And then with the first ladies that I had been around, there was no really close-knit camaraderie. There was really no confidant that I could share something like this with him. Plus, most of the people he took me around with his friends.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So no, I never shared any of this with anyone but you.
We're going to get to how you actually met me. Okay. But you did mention that he started seeing one of the members in the church.
Yes.
How did you find out about that?
I will always say that it was the Holy Spirit, because there were no signs, no staying out late, no phone calls, no, I'm telling you, no signs. And one day, something said, call him on his job. And I called the job, and he didn't answer. So I called my son, who worked up there with him. And he said, well, Red not here, Red gone. Said he was going to Kernersville to look at one of his customers' houses. I said, oh, okay. So here I go. Find my iPhone. And his iPhone leads to a hotel.
Oh, so you had a tracking on his phone?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Find my iPhone, because it really wasn't a tracking just to tracking. But on the iPhones, all you have to do is go on there, and all you have to do is know their ID and know their password.
Mm-hmm.
See, know their Apple ID, know their password. So everybody turns these on. It's required that everyone who has an iPhone turns these on their phone.
Okay.
And so something in me, the Holy Spirit,
You
told
went
me.
to track his phone?
I tracked his phone.
And his phone led you to?
Straight to the hotel where
A
he
hotel.
was, a hotel.
Wow.
Where they were.
And you went to the hotel?
I went to the hotel. I went in and asked for him. Of course, they wouldn't tell me he was there.
Yes.
I did. And then I sat outside the hotel and I waited about 2 hours.
Thanks for watching the Kirt Gonzales Show, the home of motivation, inspiration, and victory. We pray you were encouraged with today's show. For more information, visit us on the internet. So until next week, remember, Your life has purpose. Victory and breakthrough are just around the corner. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week with another segment of the Kirt Gonzales Show.